Hey everybody, Derek here to bring you another video for The Walking Dead Season 5. And in today's video, I'm going to be analyzing, will Tara live or die as a result of her head injury on last night's episode of Walking Dead? There is definitely a chance that it could go either way, with the way the story has been. And I'm going to be giving my thoughts on a lot of that. So if you guys are not caught up and you don't want to hear any spoilers, if you don't want to hear any speculation, because that's really what most of this is. I don't really know what they could do, and the fact that Tara is not a comic book character shows that they don't necessarily have to follow any particular storyline. But I will be referring to the comics in some way. So if you don't want to be spoiled, don't watch the video or else you may be spoiled. Okay. Thoughts on Tara living. I personally like Tara. I think that she is a great character. I think it's a great addition to the show. She brings this presence that I really like about her character. She's very gutsy, and I like how she brings more of that lighthearted humor to the show. You don't get a lot of those moments where somebody is able to make you smile or make you go, oh, that was good. Like Team Great M, was just a great idea. The way that she views the world and the way that she wants to see it change, I like that about her. And I think she's an amazing, amazing character. And I think that there are a lot of things that they can do with her later down the road if they decide to do that. My hope is that they do. But a couple of things to also look at. One is that we do have a very big cast. And it is, I don't want to call it unfortunate. It is a good thing. But one of the things that you get concerned about is how do you balance all of these characters? And some of them have to die, I think. Otherwise, you're going to have 20-some episodes of Walking Dead in order to include all of them and give them all some kind of a story. It's not like other shows where people can just go missing for 5 episodes and then show up and be like, hey guys, how you doing? I was just, over here. It's not like that. And I think that you do have the big cast, and we just keep adding characters in every episode. So that's a concern. And another thing is just that I feel that in some ways, Tara's death, if it does happen in some of the predicted ways, could contribute to the story. And there were a couple things that I was thinking about. One is that just her death by just dying of the head injury, I don't think is enough. I don't think that they would do that to the character. I think the character is much more important than just to sacrifice like that. If she does die as a result, I think it'll be for another reason, something completely different. And one of my thoughts is that she may take on some of Scott's storyline from the comics. In the comics, there is a guy named Scott who gets a leg injury, and the group goes out to get medicine and supplies for him, but he ends up dying as a result of his injury. This may lead to some stories of people going out to get supplies for Tara. Now, whether she would just die of the head injury again, I just don't think it's enough. But there was one thing that I was thinking about, which may happen. It may or it may not. This is mostly just speculation and a lot of things going on with the story. But if you remember in the last episode, when, we had the deaths of Aiden and we had the deaths of Noah. And of course we know that Aiden's death is going to be very hard for Deanna and Reg. And of course we know that Deanna is the leader of the community. And, after hearing Father Gabriel's warning in the last episode about Rick's group, it makes me wonder how Deanna is going to react to this. Because I think that she does recognize that Rick's group is necessary, but she's even started to doubt herself, with making Rick and Michonne the constables, bringing on Maggie as an advisor, and then now having Abraham take over the construction crew. It's like you're giving more and more power to these people who just arrived. And I think that that's a big concern now thinking about it. And now that her son is dead, she may start to think about, the circumstances that had happened and maybe think of Rick's group as dangerous or as reckless. And it does make me wonder if, like, paranoia will set in between the two groups. With Father Gabriel saying these people have done terrible, terrible things. If she thinks, well, what if they, were involved with. I don't think that she would outright think that they would kill her son. I don't think it's that. But what if she thinks of them as, oh, they're the reason that my son died because they didn't do this, and they didn't do this, and they didn't do this, and this. And that may be a possibility that she may think that. Another thing you also have to consider is Nikolas. Nikolas did come back. And of course, we know that Nikolas is just a big coward. I mean, and on the other hand, you also know that this is just the way that the group has always been. That they don't know how to handle walkers. They don't know how to handle the heavy stuff. So anytime danger comes, they run. Well, after Glenn beat him up, and of course they held a gun to him and everything as they drove back, Nikolas may be, very upset by this, thinking that, oh, they're a bunch of savages. Yeah, look what they did. They beat me because I tried to save myself because I was going to get eaten, and then they got upset, and then they I don't know if they tied him up necessarily, but I know that they, held a gun on him and everything, and that can be scary for somebody that has never had to experience that before. This is the way that Rick's group is, but that doesn't mean that Nikolas is necessarily comfortable with that. And part of me wonders just how much of this experience is going to play into the way that individuals perceive people in the group. And one of the things that I was thinking about is, what if people are paranoid about Rick's group? And you think about who's going to be taking care of Tara, with her head injury. Most likely Pete. We don't really know who else is capable. I mean, in the comics, there is a character named Denise who is also a doctor. But we haven't seen Denise. So we don't know if she's in the comics or not, or in the TV show or not. And it may be Pete that has to be the one that deals with her injury, and tends to her because he is a doctor. And I often thought, what if people are so paranoid by Rick's group and that there is this, fear that goes through everybody in the community that Rick's group is going to take over? Because one of the things that you remember is that Maggie also, overheard Gabriel's words. So everybody's going to know exactly what Gabriel said, and they're going to react to it in different ways. Well, what if they do some things that make some people uncomfortable, or that they do try to make their move on the community? And my thought process is that, well, what if Pete, in an effort to, or somebody, it doesn't necessarily have to be Pete, but what if somebody murders Tara in her room and makes it seem like she died of the head injury? Because one of the things that, and again, this is a little bit of a spoiler, because one of the sneak peeks states that Tara is stable, which may lead to, different ideas of what that means. Well, if she's going to recover, that's a good thing. But what if somebody murders Tara in an effort to, lessen Rick's group by one person? My thought, and you think about this in regards to, like, I'm a big fan of Survivor, that show on CBS, where people go on the island, they strategize, and they vote people off for various different reasons. Well, I kind of think that right now, we're in this position of two tribes of people, the Alexandria residents and Rick's group, have come together. And in Survivor, there is a merge. And different people do different things. But what generally happens is that, alliances get together and they vote the other people out because they're in the minority or they just don't have the votes to take care of people. And if you solidify, then you can guarantee a spot in the final, whatever, like final five, final four. In this particular instance, you have approximately, I think there's like 13 people now. I'd have to count again. But the amount of people that are in Alexandria that were prior residents versus Rick's group. And you also have to consider, that Rick's group is a little bit more powerful than the Alexandria residents are. Sure, they may be outnumbered, but if they're the ones that are able to, win immunity, like in Survivor, then they stay. And here, if they're tougher in this world, they stay alive while the other people die. My thought process is, what if Rick's group does try something, that they try to take over, that they do try, or they do something that makes people uncomfortable in the Alexandria side, that makes them think, oh my gosh, they are going to take over. This is terrible, and we need to do something. And what if somebody does go into Tara's room and murders her in a way to lessen one more person that could be on Rick's side? That is always a possibility, because it's like in Survivor, if you know that you can take somebody out and weaken them by one person, you'll do it. And it's the same thing here. If there's one less person fighting on Rick's side, then that is something that could potentially hurt Rick's group from being able to take over, from being able to do anything. And it also puts them in a harder position. So I think that it is possible that somebody could take that kind of action, and it could be now or it could be later, where somebody does kill Tara in an effort to prevent Rick's group from having one more person on their side. Definitely a possibility. And it could flow in, that it could be Pete. That, Pete really is the abuser, and it's not Jesse. And Pete's thought is that, well, if I killed Tara, then, it'll convince Rick's group, X, Y, and Z. Or it will, put Rick's group back in their place, that, that they need to straighten up, or certain things along those lines. Everybody can have different thoughts on that, but, you really could put in a situation where Pete does murder Tara, in order to, continue to cause that kind of friction, to potentially get them so upset that they would be kicked out. And then that way life can go back to how it was before, when you didn't have people meddling into, his marriage. And that's only if he is the abuser. So there are a lot of different possibilities there. I do think it is possible that Tara could die like that. Or it's possible that she might live. But if she does die, I don't think that it's just going to be of the head injury and her just slipping away. I don't think it's going to be that. I think you need to do the character a little bit more justice, and I think that if something like that does happen, then it would at least serve the story a little bit more than just, yeah, Tara suddenly died. I don't see that happening. I don't think that does justice to the character at all. And if they do kill her off, it should at least be for story purposes. But I do think that it is more likely that Tara will live. I think that there's been enough deaths. I know you kind of say that and then one more happens, but I think if anybody else does die, it's going to be somebody in Alexandria or somebody minor. I just think that we've had enough character deaths for one season, and I think it would be more proper to at least let Tara live and see what they can do with her character, because I think there's a lot they can do with her. But if they do kill her off, I think that it would not necessarily come as a whole surprise. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But I'm going to bring this video to a close. If you guys have any questions or comments, don't be afraid to leave them. Feel free to subscribe. I do have more videos coming. And you guys have any suggestions for videos that you would like me to do, don't be afraid to post them in the comments. Have a very wonderful day, and thank you very much.